Okay, I have started the recording. Hope my screen is visible and my voice is clear. I'm just confirming it once again. Just type yes in the chat box if my voice is clear or if my screen is okay. So today we are going to discuss about a very important class, a class which is called as Spring Bean class. So far we have discussed about what is Pojo, what is Poji, what is Java Bean class, and what is Bean class or component class. So we have discussed all those things only to understand what is Spring Bean class. Understanding the Spring Bean class is very important, right? So let me make it really quick. So in a single line, I can say that Java Bean class is a data carrier. We have Pojo. It uses only JDK libraries. So this is for portability. Okay? Either by extending or implementing from other classes or interfaces. Second one, and we have a Pojo. We have a Poji. Poji talks about it is also going to use only the JDK libraries for porting, but only by extending other from other interfaces, only by using JDK libraries. It's used only JDK uses only JDK libraries for portability, either by only by extending interfaces, right? And at last we have discussed about what is bean class or component class. So bean class or component class is just a Java class where the state of the class is going to be used in the behavior of the class to develop some business. So far we are so clear. This we have been discussing about these four classes for the last four classes. It only to understand what is Spring Bean class, right? So before even understanding Spring Bean class, let me tell you one thing. This is a big secret. The secret is like, it is not a secret. It is a kind of realization. It is a realization. When you develop any class by using Java, for example, let us take that I am developing a class like class T. So the name of the class is class T. Inside this, I am going to have a simple behavior. Behavior is like public void making. And I have a single instruction inside this method which is going to display a simple output. The output is going to be like system dot out dot println T is ready. A simple Java class. Inside the Java class, I have a method. Inside the method, I have a simple instruction that is going to display T is ready. When it is executed, the T is ready is going to get displayed. So this is one class. Let me take another class. So this is another class. Driver class. Driver class is also called as the main class. Driver class is also called as what? The main class, where you will what we call it as, where the execution starts. Public static void main string array box. Now you see one thing. So I have two classes. One is a class T and another one is driver class. Let us assume that these two classes are placed or prepared in different files. This is file 1, this is file 2. Right? Two classes I have. If I just want to see the coupling, for now the coupling is going to be like, we have T class, we have driver class. No dependency is there. What? There is no dependency between T class and the driver class. Both are independent classes. Both are independent, completely independent. There is no dependency. T class is independent, driver class is independent. Now let us understand one thing. When we try to execute the program, main thread will be created. JVM is going to create what? JVM is going to create main thread, and all the instructions inside the main thread will get executed. Right? Control will be transferred. I mean, JVM is going to create a main thread, and main thread will try to get access to the main method. All instructions will be executed inside the main method. Now I have one driver class and I have one T class. If I execute this, there is nothing to be displayed, right? Because there are no instructions specified inside the main method. Right? Now what if I do? If I want to use this T class, if I want to execute this service, assume that this is a kind of service. This is a class that is going to prepare T. It is going to make T. It is going to give us some services. If you want to use this service, definitely I should create object. Understand my point? If you want to utilize these services, if you want to utilize these three services, it is mandatory for me to create object. Yes or no? I need to create object for T class. T object equal to new I need to create an object and I need to call the method so that I will be getting the services that is provided by the T class, right? So I need to call the method. Method calling will be like object dot making. If I do object dot making, what happens? T is ready. I'm going to get output as T is ready. If you see, as soon as I have placed these two instructions, T object, I mean I have created an object for T class and I am calling the method that is inside the T class, which is making method, right? Now this will be, previously in our previous representation, these two were completely independent, right? As soon as I create an object with a new keyword, these two classes are going to be like a tightly coupled class, right? Now T is here. T class and driver class, they are tightly coupled with each other because dependency is that if I want to call this T class, I need to create an object, right? Creating object is nothing but I will be using new keyword. Using the new keyword is like creating the dependency, right? Without creating an object, do you think that I can able to use this service? Impossible. If you want to use this free service, definitely I need to create the object in the main method. But the problem is, if I create the object inside the main method, the application is getting tightly coupled, right? They both are getting tightly coupled. They are getting tightly coupled in nature. This is going to create a problem. Why this is going to create a problem? For example, let us assume that the application has been created. A full-fledged application has been created. Right? In future, if there is any changes that is required in this T class, if you want to make any changes in this T class, it is going to impact this driver class directly. For example, let us assume that I am completely removing this. Let us assume that I'm completely deleting the service. If I'm deleting the service, this driver class is going to get broken. Broken in the sense, if I remove this driver class will also what? Will it will also get what? Broken in the sense, this driver class will not work because of the tight coupling, right? So what Spring Bean class says, right? If you want to create any object by using Spring framework, you're not supposed to create object with the new keyword. This new keyword concept is not there inside the Spring framework. What I'm trying to say is the new keyword, you cannot create an object using the Spring frameworks with the new keyword. New keyword concept is not there. You will not see new keyword inside the Spring framework. Right? If you do not want to see the new keyword inside this Spring framework, you will have to use Spring Bean classes. That is what we are going to discuss today. Right? The conclusion is very simple. Let me write that here for the better understanding. Using new keyword to create object. Using new keyword to create objects is a legacy way. It's a legacy way, and it is going to keep the services or classes tightly coupled. So this is not recommended. One more thing, the developers can create an object only with the help of new keyword. Right? So we developers, we are complicating the things by creating an object with help of new keyword. If you are not creating any object without using new keyword, then the issue will be solved. Then the applications can be loosely coupled. Right? What I'm trying to say is, if I'm not using new keyword, but still if I'm able to use this particular service without using new keyword, the application looks like this. I won't be using new keyword, but I can able to make use of the services that is providing by this class. Very simple. I will not use new keyword, but still I will be able to use these services that is provided by the T class. Right? Understanding that concept is nothing but the Spring Bean class. That Spring Bean class, you will develop a class, right? But you do not create an object with the help of new keyword. Object will be created somehow. Object will be, we are going to discuss that, but you will not use new keyword. You as a developer, you will not use new keyword. Why you will not use new keyword? Because using the new keyword to create object is keeping the applications or services tightly coupled. If the applications are tightly coupled, or if the services are tightly coupled, then it will be difficult for you to perform testing, or it will be difficult for you to manage the services independently, because one service is completely coupled to another services. If there is any changes in T service, it will have direct impact on the other service. Right? So that is what we are trying to understand. Spring Bean class is going to help us to create an object without using the new keyword. As simple as that. You don't use new keyword, but still objects will be created. How is that possible? You will understand that. If you understand that, first module of Spring will be completed. As simple as that. Making sense so far? Just type S in the chat box. Now we will discuss about the actual topic. Just type. If you have understood, just type S in the chat box so far. Okay. Okay. Now it will make more sense. This is, you just keep this in mind. Developers will not create object. Just keep that in mind, because if developers are creating the object, it is keeping the application or keeping the services tightly coupled, because the developers are using new keyword. What are the other ways to create object? That we are going to understand now. Please focus here. So Spring framework. Spring Framework has made the object creation automated. So object creation is automated and it is taken care. It will be taken care by the Spring Framework. However, you will have to give the instructions to this Spring Framework. If you give the instructions, then Spring Framework will create the object, but it will not use the new keyword, because if you avoid using the new keyword, the services will be loosely coupled in nature. Right? Spring Framework has made the object creation automated. Is going to use Spring Bean class. On which objects are created, managed and destroyed by the Spring containers. Which is the part of Spring Framework. Very simple, understand this. Spring Framework is going to create the objects. It is an automatic process. But if you want the Spring Framework to create objects on behalf of developers or on behalf of you, right, you will need to pass some instructions. I will let you know what are those instructions. But the object creation, object management, object destruction is managed by Spring containers. You will understand what is Spring containers, which is part of Spring Framework. Let me write one more line for the better understanding. Spring containers are going to do what? It is going to manage the whole life cycle of the Spring Bean class. Such as object creation, management and destruction. And again I can write a Spring container is a software program. It is just like JVM, software program that manages the life cycle of the Spring Bean class. Now I will explain you. What is a Spring container. See, to overcome this problem, the problem is with the new keyword, right? If we are using the new keyword, definitely the applications are going to be tightly coupled. The services are going to be tightly coupled, because we are trying to use the service of another class by creating an object with the new keyword. It means this new keyword is placed inside a main method, which is again placed inside a different class. That is why the services are getting tightly coupled. In order to avoid this, Spring Framework is saying, developers, please do not create object. You don't create object with the new keyword. You do only one thing. You tell me for which classes you have to create object. You please tell me for which classes you need the object creation. I will take care of that. I am not going to use the new keyword. I'm going to ensure that the services are getting loosely coupled, but I will not use the new keyword. I will do that for you, but you just give me the instructions. That is what Spring Framework says. Very simple. Spring Framework is saying, to develop application, if you want to create object, you do not do that. You don't do it. You don't use a new keyword, but tell me. I will do it for you. I will keep the things. I will keep the object creation. I will create the object. I will maintain the object. I will restore the object on your behalf. but give me some instructions. Give me some instructions on which class, for which class you do not want to create object. You tell me, I will take it, I will take care of that. Like that, such instructions are given by Spring Framework. That's why we are using Spring Framework to achieve loose coupling. First thing, to achieve loose coupling, we are going for Spring Framework. Secondly, you don't find new keyword in your application. You will find main method, but you will not find a new keyword at all. Right? So Spring Container is just like a software, right? So I will explain you now. First, let us understand this process. So this, let me take this code. Okay. Let us understand this. Let's compile and execute the below Java code. Now tell me what will happen if I perform compilation. This is my source file, test, and I mean class test and class driver. They are my source file. Combinedly, I can call this a source file. There are two classes, right? After performing compilation, to perform compilation, I need compiler, isn't it? Compiler is going to generate two dot class files. One is t dot class file, dot class file, driver dot class file. Two dot class files are generated by the compiler after compiling the source code. Now it's developer responsibility. I mean, it's our responsibility to load the dot class file. Which dot class file we are supposed to load? The main dot class file, because the execution flow will start from main method. So who is taking responsibility now to load the dot class file inside the JVM? Developer is taking the responsibility. So if the developer is loading t dot class file, there will be an error, runtime error, because in the t dot class file there is no main method. Right? So it's your responsibility to load the dot class file where you have placed the main method. As simple as that. So out of these two dot class files, I will be loading this dot class file firstly. This dot class file will be loaded inside the JVM. What JVM does, JVM will create a main thread. You have done only one thing. Your responsibility is to load the dot class file. Because of your, what we call it as, because of this instruction, you are just instructing the JVM to execute the main method that is available inside this driver.class file. You are saying main method is in driver.class file. I am loading that. You have successfully loaded it, and JVM is going to create a thread, main thread. Main thread will get access to main method, and it will execute all the instructions inside the main method. Right? First instruction. Now till now the application is like this. Till now, the two classes are like this. Before execution, the two classes are looking like this, right? As soon as JVM starts executing each and every instruction, what is happening? You see, you are making the classes services tightly coupled like this. Till before execution, it is like this. After execution, it becomes like this. Let us say that this is driver service. This is T service, right? After execution, what happens? Main thread will get access to main method. First instruction, object creation. Right? Now who created object? Main thread created object. Yes, but because of your instruction, the main thread is creating object for you. Because you have used new keyword, because of this new keyword, object is created. Object creation is okay, but this object creation is making the services tightly coupled. Previously it was separate. After the object creation, it has become like this. Right? The name of the object is what? Object. Object. On top of this object, you are calling making method. The control will be transferred from previously the control was here. Then control will be jumped to from here to from here to here. From here the control will be jumped to here. So T is ready. This instruction will be displayed inside the output. After the instruction is displayed, it will come back here and the main thread will be destroyed. Main thread will be destroyed and the output is going to be what? T is ready. The reason why I am explaining all this is now you see you have done the because of the new keyword the object is created. Here you have taken the responsibility. You as a developer, you are loading the .class file to JVM. You are loading this because main.class file is driver.class. You are loading this because of your actions. JVM is creating a thread and object is getting created and the services is getting called and the two services are becoming tightly coupled and the thread is getting destroyed. These things are happening because of new keyword and because of your instruction which you are giving to the JVM to execute the main method. Right? What the Spring says, these things works fine if you are developing standalone application. Because it is just like what you know. For example, you have an automatic car, you have a manual car. Manual car is just like a tightly coupled because that gear transmission. First gear, if you put first gear, the speed is limited to 20 kilometers, or it is just for the starting purpose. Second gear, the speed is limited to 20 kilometers, and the third gear, 30 kilometers. And if you go above 30, you can use fourth gear, like that. So this gear is dependent upon the speed. But if you go for automatic cars, you will just start your car. And when you go speed, when you increase the speed, the transmission will happen automatically inside, right? The gear will be changed depending upon the speed that you are putting on your on your accelerator. Depending upon the force that you are putting on an accelerator, the speed will be increased. Right? There is no correlation, right? You don't control the gears. Gear is getting controlled automatically. Likewise, inside, creating an object with new keyword is like the manual driving, changing the gears, and automatic cars are like for automatic cars you will use spring containers. Spring containers are like automatic cars. You will appoint a spring container. Spring container will create this object for you. You won't create object. Spring container will create this object for you. You will understand how it is taking care internally. So there are Spring frameworks gives two containers. Spring framework gives two containers. Very important interview question. First one is Bean Factory. Bean Factory container. Second one is application context container. Very important interview question. So what is Bean Factory container? First of all, what is a container? What is Bean Factory container? What is application context container? You will understand one by one. I can simply say now, Bean Factory container is just like a basic container. Application context container is just like an advanced container. I can represent this like this. If this circle talks about Bean Factory container, this square, this talks about application context container. So you have limited operations with Bean Factory container. You have more number of operations. You have more features in the application context container. Now, before that, I will need to explain you what are these containers. bean factory container, and this one is application context. Okay. I will explain you what is container, then we will discuss about these two containers. So container is just like a JVM. This is JVM. Okay. This is the container. Container is built on top of JVM. JVM is used when the developer is creating object manually with a new keyword. But Spring containers are used when the objects are created automatically. This is JVM is just like driving a manual car. Spring containers are just like driving an automatic car. You see JVM, objects are created by developers. Objects are created by developers. Objects are created by developers, but here the objects are created by containers. Objects are created, maintained, and destroyed. Complete object lifecycle, creation, maintenance, and destruction is taken care of by Spring containers. And the Spring containers are divided into two types. One is application context. Second one is Bean Factory. Bean Factory is a basic version. Factory. I am just acquainting you with these terminologies. I will explain. We are going to have a brief discussion on this. So there are two containers. One is Bean Factory. Second one is application context. Mostly we will use application context container. This is the basic thing. This is the legacy container, old container. If you understand this, understanding this is going to be very easy. For 5 to 6 applications, we will use Bean Factory. Going forward, we will use application context. So the question is, what is a Spring container, right? You understand that. Now, before understanding Spring container, I hope you got some knowledge about object creation. Create object with a new keyword. Some complications are there. Right now, we will understand what is a Spring Bean class. Spring Bean class. Very easy. You do not have to think much about this. The class, any class that a developer prepare, any class that developer, any class in the sense, any classes like predefined, user defined, or third party applied classes that a developer uses in a program, uses in a Java program. But the developer will not create object for these classes. Instead, developer will send instructions to the Spring container to create objects on the developer's behalf. So those classes are called as Spring Bean class. Very simple, very simple. Let me take the same example, E example. Steps INS. Okay, with instructions. 1 minute, it is done. Give me a moment, it is done.